I thought we'd use this because it looks quite official. Right.
Nothing written on it.
Yeah. Right, so today we are making a brisket chili con carne because minced beef is good, but we're going to elevate it with a beautiful brisket that I got from my lovely butcher, Roland. It comes from like the chest of the cow, so it's really tough because if you think they're kind of eating grass all day and they're lifting their fat heads, so this is a really strong cut of meat which lends itself to kind of low and slow cooking. So that's what we're going to start doing now. Chop it up into kind of a bit more manageable sized pieces. And this is about 1 kilo, which I think will feed around 4 to 5 people.
Why is it better to use this rather than mince?
It's just a bit more interesting because normally chili is just always mince, but when you get a chili which has got braised beef into it, you're going to have a better flavour and a better texture as well. And basically what we're going to do, we're just going to colour it off now because once it caramelises in the pan, it's going to seal in all that flavour and boost it as well. Season it quite generously with a lot of salt, and it's important when you season things, you season them from a height because that means you're going to get an even distribution of salt. And then just a touch of pepper. We're just going to go in with our beef. And if it's not making that sound, it's not hot enough. So I hold it up to the camera, like look at that. That is what we're looking for. Oh yeah. This is the only time you have an opportunity to add flavour into the meat. You have to be patient, and if it's not like a deep golden brown, keep cooking it. The beef is really nice and brown, but we're going to leave all that lovely beef fat in there because you know me guys, I love recycling flavour. We're just going to fry our veggies in that. It's just going to be like the best ever. So now our beef is lovely and brown. Just been to our beefer, it's just had a nice tan, it's looking nice and golden brown. Here we go to our veg. So, a chili con carne is always onions and peppers. That's always the kind of base. So, roughly chop these. I think we'll just cut to like a title card of like onions, peppers. In with the onions and peppers. And as soon as something hits the heat, it's important to season it with a bit of salt and pepper. You just always add little bits of salt and pepper throughout the cooking process. So if you add it all in at the end, it's not going to taste very good. And I'm not bothered about the veg kind of not being completely soft now because it's going to cook a bit further in the oven. In with our garlic. The base spices for any chili, it always starts off with a bit of cumin. And again, I'm kind of guesstimating here. About 2 tablespoons of cumin. Okay, now smoked paprika, bit of oregano, little pinch of cinnamon. So we'll go in with a bit of coriander as well. And it's quite important to toast these off because as they toast off, they're going to release all their natural oils. Load of tomato puree. So now, in here we've got our onions, garlic, spices, tomato puree. We're then going to go back in with the beef. And what I like to do is kind of get it nicely coated now so all those lovely spices can be introduced to the beef. It's the start of a very, very exciting journey. And it's all done in one pot, cooks in the oven, so it's really nice and simple. The last little bit, some chopped tomatoes. In with the chopped tomatoes, a beef stock cube, which everyone has lying around in their house. Top it up so it's completely submerged in water. Now all we need to do is bring it up to the boil, whack a lid on and put it in the oven. God, that is nice already. Now we've brought this up to the boil, we're just going to bang a lid on and we're going to bake it in an oven 3 hours. After that 3 hours, we're then going to add in our kidney beans and then cook it for another 2 hours. So every guacamole starts with obviously an avocado and you kind of want to remove this pip here, roll around, twist it and open. And that's a really nice, beautiful avocado. If they're rock hard, they're no good and buy some other ones. And really simply, just scoop out all the flesh. Something you guys don't know about me is that I love guacamole. I don't love avocados because it needs loads of lime juice and a bit of garlic. I just feel like avocados on their own don't really taste too much. So we're going to season it with a load of lime juice. . 1 the first thing to do is just to use a fork, just to puree it. And if you've got nice ripe avocados, this will be no problem. But just to elevate it a touch, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna add in some diced tomatoes, quarter them, remove the seeds. If it doesn't work out for me as a chef, I could go into basketball. I mean, I don't have the height. The amount of things I throw into bins is unbelievable. Cut them into strips and then cut them into a nice dice. And what I love about guacamole is it's quite rustic, so not everything has to be so perfect. Dice up a red onion. The final bit for my ultimate guacamole is coriander. And I know some people don't like it, but I love it. I'm not too fussy when it comes to coriander stalks. Oh wow. You can tell I've seen it, I've made it a load of times because I kind of know. But that doesn't need anything. Super simple, it only has a handful of ingredients. So we start off with lovely beef tomatoes, score them on the bottom in this crisscross fashion like that, like a bullseye. They go into the boiling water for about 10, 15, 20 seconds. Once that 10 seconds is up, we're just going to take them out of the water and plunge them into the ice water. Because we don't want to cook them, we just want to release that skin. We can now just get a knife and we can really easily just peel it off. The skin doesn't really give us any flavour, nor is it a nice texture. Cut them into quarters. Remove the seeds because they're a bit too wet, kind of drown out the salsa, and then cut it into a lovely dice. We're moving on to our onion. Finally, we just got our coriander here, which you need to bunch together, and then just with a really nice sharp knife, rattle through it like this. Finish it off with a bit of lime juice, a little bit of olive oil, and then finally, just like with everything, it needs a little bit of salt and pepper. As you can see, it's a super easy salsa, just has a handful of ingredients, but it really does have so much more flavour and freshness than the stuff you can buy in a store. Right, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Now, I have to tell you a little secret that this was not made today, this was made on Friday. The great thing about this dish is that you can make it ahead of time and it's actually going to get nicer and nicer the longer it's in the fridge. Don't leave it in there for a month, but just leave it in there for a few days because the flavour is going to develop. So we've just reheated this and here is the finished product. Okay, so here we've got these lovely big chunks of brisket and you can see I can barely move it without it falling apart. So that's just going to melt in your mouth as you're eating it. It adds a little bit of texture, but just this flaky, rich beef in the chili con carne is going to elevate your boring minced chili con carne to this epic one. And I have a feeling that once you do this method, you're not going to go back. So load our rice into the middle. And that classic chili plating is always, you always leave a well in the middle for all that chili to go. And then load on all that gorgeous chili. Got the kidney beans in there, all those lovely spices, the tomatoes, smoky from the paprika, we've got the spiciness from the chili, you know, the sweetness from the peppers and the onions. That's quite a big portion, but there we go. Everyone's hungry here. Now that is delicious on its own, but we're bringing in the Avengers here. We've got pico de gallo, which we're just going to put on the side. This is just going to give you a bit of freshness with the lovely tomatoes in there. And then we're going to load on all the guacamole. Pop these on the side. And then finally, just a little bit of sour cream, because it might be a bit spicy. Right, here we go. Once you pair it with the guacamole and the pico and the sour cream, now that is a plate that everyone's going to be pleased with. That's delicious, that.